So everybody knows what an affirmation is, right? We've been taught this for over a century, right? All the gurus say the same thing. If you read any self-help book other than mine, any other self-help book, they talk about using these positive statements or affirmations. So, as a business coach, an executive coach, and a habits coach, one of the things I also get to do is work as a keynote speaker. So I get to do keynote speeches all around the world. And one of the things that I like to do at my events, whether it's a live seminar or a virtual event, I like to have my audience members stand up and I say, okay, everybody say an affirmation, just like we've been taught by the gurus. Everybody say, I am rich. And everybody goes, I am rich. And you know what happens next? Everyone starts laughing. And I go, what are you laughing at? And they say, well, I'm not rich. And I say, but you just said you were. And they go, yeah, but I don't believe it. Aha. See, now, isn't that the trouble? Isn't that the problem with that old method, right? We say these positive statements and we want to believe them, but in most cases, we just don't believe it. In fact, did you know there was a scientific study done on this very topic, and they found that 75% of people actually end up more frustrated than before when they use the old affirmations method. So, I mean, imagine if you had a smartphone that only worked 25% of the time and didn't work 75% of the time. You'd probably trade that phone in, right? You'd probably trade it in
Right.
for something that works better, right? Well, that's what I invented. I invented a new type of phone, that works actually 100% of the time. And so that's what, I call the affirmations method. So what's the difference? So the affirmation, the old method, is you say these positive statements. I'm happy, I'm rich, I'm successful. And your brain goes, no, you're not. We just don't believe it. And so 25 years ago is actually April 1997. So over 25 years ago now, I was actually in the shower. I was thinking about this very topic because I've been reading all these books. They all say the same thing. And I did everything they said. And I had post-it notes. I'm happy, I'm rich, I'm successful. No, I'm not. I'm broke, unhappy, and miserable. Right. That was the reality. So I said, what the heck? What aren't they telling us? What are they leaving out? Right. It was so frustrating. And so I actually had this epiphany in the shower. I call it the shower that changed everything. And when I realized that the human mind actually responds automatically to something much more powerful than statements, and yet at the same time, simpler and easier and more effective. And what is that? Well, it's the power of empowering questions, right? And psychologists actually call this the embedded presupposition factor of the brain. Now, that's just a fancy way of saying when you ask a question, your brain searches for the answer. So I said, why are we going around making statements that we don't believe when the human mind responds automatically to something even more powerful? And it's already right there inside of us. And I said, okay, so what would that look like? So we've got this statement, I am rich, to which your brain goes, yeah, right, right. And so I said, if that's the statement, what would the question be? And then I said, why am I so rich? Why am I so rich? Now, when you ask that question, it sounds kind of funny at first, but then if you really ask the question, why am I so rich? What starts to happen in your brain? You actually start to search for the answer, right? Your brain automatically searches for the answer, just like you're doing a Google search, right? Or a computer, if you're searching for a file on your computer. Well, your brain's like a computer, your brain's like Google, and it literally has an infinite search engine right here between your ears every moment. And so you're searching for the answer. And by virtue of the law of sowing and reaping, which means as you sow, so shall you reap. But what are we sowing? We're sowing seeds of thought. And yet, what are most people doing? They're sowing lousy thought seeds. Thought seeds like, why am I so stupid? Why can't I get a job? Why isn't my business growing? Why can't I get more clients or customers or patients? Or why am I so fat? Why can't I lose weight? Why does nothing ever work out for me? Why is there more month left at the end of the money? Right? And when you ask lousy questions, what do you get? Well, you
Lousy
get
answers.
lousy answers. Right, exactly. You get lousy answers, and that creates a lousy life. So I said, what if instead of asking lousy questions that lead to lousy answers and create a lousy life, what if we just flip the whole thing on its head, start asking empowering questions that lead to phenomenal answers and create a wonderful life? And that's why in the shower that changed everything 25 years ago, I invented this method that I called, and I named it, the Afformations method. I actually trademarked that term. It's the official trademark of the United States government, Afformations. Again, that's Afformation, Afformations, Afformations.com. You can learn more about it. And I mean, since that time, over 25 years ago, I've taught my Afformations method to over 1 million people around the world. And we've helped people not only through my Afformations method, but through my other, formulas and methods as well, to literally add 6, 7, and even 8 figures to their business in record time, work less and make more. We've also helped people lose, weight, literally lose thousands of pounds collectively. Also find love. We've helped people find their soulmate, save marriages. We help kids. Kids love affirmations, but those of you listening who, have kids or nieces or nephews or whatever, grandkids, teach them about my affirmations method because kids absolutely totally get it. They love it. And we have so many stories that people have sent to me about, they shared my affirmations method with their kids or grandkids or nieces and nephews. And, the kid starts to get better grades, start to feel more confident. We've had kids who, were on like a not so great road and then they ended up going to college and getting scholarships. So, just incredible stories like this from literally all around the world as a result of using my affirmations method.